So, where is Britney Spears? It is September 3rd, 2023, and we don't really fucking know, do we? Nobody's really even known where she's been since, I want to say 2016, but let's say for sure 2021. It's pretty fucked up. When I go through Britney Spears' Instagram, it's never good news. It's never something that leads to something better. I mean, it gives a little bit of truth away, but really what happens is there's a lot more questions than there are answers, and I wish I had answers for people. All I know is that her Instagram isn't her all the time, and I don't even know if the clues that are being left by whoever's running that Instagram are her. But it does seem like she has somebody that wants the truth to be exposed. She has somebody that seemingly is on her side. And there's a power struggle within this group of people. I don't understand why, but I assume it's because of money. And it seems like Britney Spears is closely related to a lot of issues and things. It's one of Trump's legal aides. They had tweeted and it then deleted a post saying like Britney Spears is just one small part of this, but at the center of this. It's weird, isn't it? It does kind of seem like it all connects, but it also seems like it's really far away and remote. But is it really a conspiracy when everything is kind of lining up together? Because if you want to know how deep this rabbit hole goes down, it goes pretty damn deep. And if you're not from one of the other links that I have, welcome. I'm surprised my voice brought you here. Stay for the ride. It's going to be wild. While we're talking about things that are wild, the trailer for her book, The Woman in Me, it sounds clipped. It sounds like it's a bunch of voice recordings like what I'm currently doing now, chopped up, spliced together to make something coherent. And then that's the only recordings we have. That's batshit insane, you guys. And then Michelle Williams had to do the rest. It sounds like that's all the material you had left. And you couldn't make a whole goddamn book out of it. I don't know, just my thoughts. And this is someone who would have never thought in a million years that they would be hosting a podcast series about the conspiracy theories of Britney Spears. But is it a conspiracy when it's well-founded, documented, and there's a logical deduction of how you got there? Well, I guess that's what other people just call you when they're gaslighting you and you're on the money. Because you ever heard of Galileo? Motherfucker said the world was round and they said, "You're crazy, Galileo, I hate you. You're gonna go to hell and die." He wasn't wrong. Society generally treats people who are on the money like they're on fire. So there you go. It's just good housekeeping to introduce yourself. I think the majority of the listeners on here are from my TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, but if not, my name is This Ninja Nerd. I sometimes go as Young Coconut, and we are doing a whole series exploring the weirdness that is Britney Spears' Instagram. I want to preface and say that Britney Spears' Instagram is distinct and completely different entity than Britney Spears herself, since Britney Spears' brand and her name has been sold. She no longer owns that if you didn't know. Why am I making this distinction? Good question. My thoughts. By the way, my thoughts are THOTS because I am obscene that way. Anyways, the reason that I say that is because what we find on the Instagram and what Instagram likely is doing, strongly do not believe Britney Spears is involved, nor does she consent. At times, Britney Spears was able to have access to her Instagram. I do believe that. Currently, at the moment, I don't think so. Britney Spears is a brand. It is a marketing tool. So when I made this podcast, I liked the idea that I would be able to speak my thoughts and my theories without being found outlandish. Because the thing is, when I present something on YouTube, TikTok, or Instagram, it is my understanding that I should come prepared, that I should bring receipts, and that I should lay out in a logical fashion what I think and why it's happening. Because if not, I won't be taken seriously. But at the same time, that kind of limits me in things that I strongly believe but have not yet found a way to show and exemplify to the majority at large. So I bring this up because that's what I'm differing between what I'm doing on this podcast and what I do on my videos. My videos, I'm pretty certain about the things I talk about by the time I bring them up. I've already discussed them. I've already planned it out. This one is you're going along the ride with me. We are learning in real time together. So there will be some bumps and there will be some changes because we are learning information and processing together. So what makes this different than what I call someone who's a plant? A plant is someone who just changed their mind and never showed you the logical reason or deductions that they made that changed their view. For you to change your view means that something had to persuade you. It had to overcome your initial thoughts and feelings and intuition about situation. It had to be so strong that you were like, you know what? Nah, I don't believe that at all. I believe this new thing. So that's the difference between what you'll find here, because we'll be making these deductions together. Whereas if someone looks like a plant, smells like a plant, then you know what? Water that shit because it's a plant. Also, this trailer, you didn't like my humor, it's not going to get much better, so don't try to listen all the way through, okay? If you signed up for the subscription part, I wanted to include the Ghetto Patreon website login for you for as long as you're a subscriber. It's the same deal I offer throughout other platforms, so I wanted it to be fair. It doesn't give me access to your email, so if you could send me an email to ghettopatreon@thisninjanerd.com, which is GHETTOPATREON @thisninjanerd.com, which is my username, and have like a screenshot of your receipt, I will give you a login. So, just some general housekeeping. So I'm looking at the year 2016, and things are looking very suspicious, as you can imagine. 2016 makes the most sense for the sequence of events that we see have unfolded in 2021. 2021 actually doesn't make any fucking sense because she was just quiet after something bad happened to her in 2019. Nothing bad happened since then, and she's still stuck on 2019. That doesn't make a lot of sense. That doesn't actually form a perfect narrative. 2016, though, has all the perfect elements and trappings of a story of something like this. Starts off in April with her being excited to do Glory. A lot of us noticed the eyes, Britney Spears' eyes, kind of like they didn't glisten anymore. They weren't alive. They were bored. The conservatorship pretty much killed her inside. But articles came out and a lot of people started to notice that, hey, she's got some light in her again. She's excited. There are so many articles that she talks about how Glory is her baby, how she's finally excited, how she wants to take creative control. Another article says, like, this is the first time I've ever been selfish. And I believe that. Unfortunately, this world is not for the kind-hearted. I sincerely believe that with all my heart. The better of a person you are, the more the world fucks with you, and I wish it wasn't like that. My therapist once asked me, why do I get so obsessed with this Britney Spears stuff? And I said, it's nothing. I mean, obviously I'm working through some shit too, but isn't it kind of demoralizing that somebody who's actually really good-natured and good-willed, and this is all happening in broad daylight, and nobody wants to, extend themselves help? She's a good fucking person. She deserves this the least. Everyday selfish, shitty people can, carry on and they get things their way. Someone who's actually sweet and good-natured, the world needs to care about her. The world needs to give a shit. Because if they don't care about her, what about the rest of us? That's my 2 cents anyways. My therapist is probably like, she still needs fucking therapy. But I think Britney Spears is actually a really good person. From the stories that I've read about her to the way that she reacts, I guess I relate to her because we're both the scapegoat of our families. Wow, I didn't think I'd actually go that deep into my own psyche, but here I am. That's why you paid the $5. I want to give a special new shout out to our newest Patreon, Melissa. Thank you for joining us. I'm not gonna lie to you, there's only been one person before you. She hasn't even signed up with her email yet, so I've been lagging it. But now that you're here, don't you worry, these podcasts will happen. I also think they'll help me kind of structure and plan out. I do a lot of this in my head the night before, and it stresses me out. So it'd be kind of good to have actual documentation instead of I'm that kid in math class who's like, it's all in my head. I didn't do any work and I didn't need to show you shit because it's all in my head. That kid fucks up sometimes, and that's me. But yeah, 2016 kind of seems like the perfect ingredient. She was excited for the first time. And then there was some pushback. Her team said no. And it seemed like this time was too many no's too far. And the media started to pick up. Despite no one saying shit till 2021, someone actually did say shit in 2016. The New York Times came out with an article that wasn't too pressing, but it wasn't too soft. It actually did poke holes at a lot of the theories. And then more legal articles came out about the conservatorship and whether it was legal and whether it was just. It's interesting. So it makes me speculate that 2016 is actually when shit got real. They subdued her for a time, and then they tried to slowly roll this shit out like it was some sort of fucking product, because these people are fucking assholes like that. They see everything as a commodity. Human life shouldn't be, but you know, that's Hollywood for you, right? At one point I wanted to work in Hollywood, and thank God I fucking changed my mind, because it sounds so fucking sick. Britney Spears, wherever you are, if you are still somewhere around here, there's a lot of people that love you, and hopefully one day we can find you, or at least stop all this fucking shit from happening. You'll probably never hear this podcast, but it makes me feel a little bit better if you did. Well, Melissa, thank you for joining us again, and till later, another episode of This Ninja Nerd's Thoughts. THOTS, because I'm obscene that way. So, if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there to hear it, did the tree actually fall? Some people would tell you, yeah, the tree existed. You know, nature knew the tree was there. It was one with the universe, all that bullshit, right? Other people like me would tell you, no, nobody ever noticed that fucking tree. The tree will fucking rot, and nobody will ever know that the tree ever fell. And that's how I feel with this Britney Spears stuff. If I make content that never reaches the masses, that never actually benefits Britney Spears, does it fucking matter? I don't generally get this pessimistic, but I've been heavily shadow banned for probably 2 months now. And I feel like some of the videos and the discoveries I've made could fucking do something. Could actually fucking help Britney Spears. But nobody's fucking seeing it. So am I just wasting my fucking time? Nobody ever noticed that fucking tree. The tree will fucking rot, and nobody will ever know that the tree ever fell. What's the use of reporting all this stuff if nobody's ever gonna put it to use to help her? Because it was fucking shadow banned. So I'm watching newest Britney Spears videos. I haven't had time to do that, and I think there's motion cap, or there's something freaky happening in the background, the ring light. A lot of videos on Britney Spears' Instagram seem to have parallel movements. There are shadows that don't make sense, and the consistency is weird. That's why I got into motion capture and all that stuff, because it looks like someone else is controlling the movement. It's not a person per se, but I literally see like a ring light dancing in synchronicity with her. Isn't that weird? I don't know. This whole thing's getting really freaky. Kind of feels like we should look at that again, right? Because a lot of her Snapchat videos, a lot of her TikToks, a lot of her Instagrams, you'll see shadows moving in synchronicity, almost in conjunction with whoever or whatever is dancing in front of you. And you wonder, what technology is that? I also really want to point out that it's strange that the posts on the weekends that are posted, not during office hours, tend to be some of the worst deepfakes and glitches that you will ever see. Intentional or not. And intentional on the part of the person who posted? And is that person different than Team Con? Questions to think about. I kind of feel like I know which posts are the ones that are important to do, because people always request them. You know, it's funny, people inherently know which ones are the most messed up. That's the ones they request. They're like, please, I need someone to validate the crazy making in my head. I can do that for you. Let's talk about the purple post later today. Because the truth of the matter is, none of you are crazy. What's crazy is these people making us feel like we're crazy because we're not understanding how we're seeing this in front of us, and how this can be okay, how everyone thinks this is normal, and how this could be a thing that's happening in real life. So, somebody joined the Ghetto Patreon. So, to you person, welcome. In commemoration of you, here's a podcast that we're going to do. I am going over... So it's a little bit, I guess, like preview of what you're going to get before you get it. Here's some more stuff about steganography. Did you know that Al-Qaeda used it and they hid documents in porn documents, in videos? I mean, we all heard that Al-Qaeda had a bunch of porn videos, but did you know the videos had documents inside of them? Did you know Russian hackers hacked Britney Spears' Instagram in 2018? Look at the difference. This is the one with steganography. This is the original photo. Do you see the difference in how grainy it is and how much more noise there is? We'll go over that in a video soon. You go onto the Ghetto Patreon, where your homework is. The syllabus, I don't know. I'm just kidding. But I've uploaded both photos. One's from Britney Spears' Instagram and one's the actual photo. You know, I think if you have time, why don't you take a look at them? Compare the two. Tell me which one you think is from her Instagram, and tell me which one you think is the actual photo, and tell me if you see any discernible differences. It'll be interesting and illuminating. There's the photo again about hidden scenarios, and this is the presentation that I found it from. So go ahead and go ham. You know, it has interesting information. What's some issues with steganography? Mostly based on replacing a noise. What's the problem with noise? It has a lot of compression, like we talked about. So that's what we'll be doing and talking. I just have to give like a kind of precursor. If you're here for a good time and you think this is a good time bear, this is not a good time bear. If you like bad news bear and you like sadness and you like uncovering the truth more than you enjoy happy times, stick around. But if not, ask me for a refund. But yeah, so that's what we're going to be going over, and I hope you find it illuminating, maybe enjoyable, maybe interesting. How even the dumbest Russian spies can outwit the NSA. And I have a couple more examples about steganography. Oh, you can still tell I'm shadow banned still, like fuck. But you know what? The day goes on. And I'm going to be talking about the psychology of plain sight. Hopefully that's interesting. I feel like a lot of people will tune out, but we'll see. At least for some of you, I'll explain to you why certain people are like, no, that's definitely Britney Spears. Well, anyways, have a good afternoon. YC out. So the question is, where is Britney Spears? But some people wonder if the question is, what has happened to Britney Spears? Personally, I don't think that's the question that we should be asking. The thing for me is that they're continuing every day to shit on her, to tarnish her legacy, to make a mockery of her, and to humiliate her image. A while ago, I wrestled with the idea, what if Britney Spears is no longer here? I wondered if it mattered. Should I keep going? What was the end of all this? What's the end goal? And I realized it does fucking matter. Every day fucking matters, because every day they continue to humiliate her and to make fun of the beautiful person that she actually was. Here's a fun fact for you. Did you know that Julius Caesar wasn't actually well liked during his lifetime? And the only reason that history remembers him so fondly is because of his nephew/potential lover, Augustus. Augustus made him a deity, basically made him a god, made holidays after him. So, because all these good things were happening and all these new generation people didn't know who Caesar was, they didn't live through his fucking tyranny, and they loved Augustus so much, they loved Caesar. Made sense. So, how will history remember Britney Spears? Will they remember her the way we remember her? Or will they remember her the way that they're portraying her? For me, that's why it doesn't matter if she's dead or alive. The goal remains the same. It's not right that her children will also remember her that way, because that wasn't who she was. I don't know. It's not right at all. My goal is to educate people, to just show them that what they're seeing is not actually Britney Spears. It cannot physically be Britney Spears. And the other goal is to eventually, hopefully, to stop them so that they stop doing this, using her likeness, using her image, creating this humiliating fucking portrayal of her. And if the other goal happens, which is Britney Spears loved her kids more than anything else in this world. I'm pretty sure she'd want her money to go to her kids and not these blood-sucking vultures. That's the goal. Or that's what it has always been for me for the last few months since April. Yeah, April. I started my channel in late February, early March. So a month in, I was like, I'm fucked. Project Rose was a scary fucking realization. Everything after has been a little bit easier to stomach and a little bit easier to take in. It's not lost upon me that this is a hard fucking subject, which is why I approach it with jokes, characterizations. And yes, I don't personify or humanize whoever the fuck is behind the mask, because it's not Britney Spears. They're perpetuating this fucking cycle. They're perpetuating this fucking crime. So no, I don't think they're worthy of designation, acknowledgement, or, I don't know, of consideration. I'm gonna film a video later, probably giving my ideas of what I think has happened to Britney Spears. Do I think she's alive? Yeah. Barely, though. I don't know. I get the sense that something happened in 2016 that probably either handicapped her or permanently disfigured her, because for some reason she can't physically be seen. So the thinking is something so bad happened that there's no way that they can escape liability or escape being found criminally involved, that it's easier to do this than cop up to whether she passed or whether something happened to her that was their fault. That's my 2 cents. So I started at 11 p.m. It's now midnight, October 28th. This is episode 8. This is probably going to be the last episode of October for this podcast. The first few takes of this shit were great, honestly. They were probably like really good therapy session notes. Are they good for a podcast? No, not at all. Was it demoralizing? The subject of which I was talking about was demoralizing, and I will demoralize you. So let's take a step back and let's talk about something else. One of the frustrations I have is that so many people believe that the book is Britney Spears. The book cannot be Britney Spears. How can you jump over these loops and hoops in your head to make it so that it is Britney Spears when nothing is lining up and nothing is making sense? I know this isn't crazy. This is actually a common phenomenon in psychology. A lot of people delude themselves. A lot of people delude themselves and stay in shitty relationships. They delude themselves in thinking their family is perfect when it's actually toxic. It's a defense mechanism, and it makes a lot of fucking sense when you're young. All you have are the people in your life. If you were to actually realize and your brain didn't trick you, you would be fucked. You would want to give up. Because if you realize that the people that you love the most were actually the people that were harming you the most and were not the ones that you could trust, what would your child brain do? So your brain lied to you for a bit. Your brain told you, nope, that's not the truth, honey bear. You're the wrong one. So that you could continue on with your day. Your brain sheltered you because you weren't ready for that fucking truth yet, were you? So, on the other end, being someone that's gone through that journey, you can see things really clearly and can see other people clearly. It's really fucking lonely here. There are people who are able to do it too. People who have been traumatized enough that they were forced to fucking self-reflect and go through therapy, whether with a therapist or just self-reflection on their own. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, again, hats off to you for having a good life, and I'm so happy for you. There is no guarantee that you can sacrifice your whole life doing stuff for other people and that they will ever see you. With that, the theme of this episode is being seen. It's probably the most painful and also warm feelings that you can get when someone sees you and when someone doesn't see you and you're misunderstood. The weird thing about Britney Spears' life is that I've been looking at this shit for so fucking long that I feel like an asshole to say this, but I feel like I know the themes of her life. How could I say that? Because how could anyone know what someone else's life entails? But there are patterns that come in and out throughout the stories that we have of her. One theme is rebellion. Britney Spears wants to be her own person. She's tired of being fucking controlled. It starts not in 2016. It starts in 2004. She was in the picturesque relationship with Justin. The book claims that that's true love. I do think she loved him. I don't think he's the love of her life. I think the love of her lives are her kids. And that's what I have issue. People think that I'm being heartless as if I am dismissing the trauma of the abortion and all that stuff. No, I just think it was superficial at best. And it showed. Justin is a superficial person. I think Britney has said the best thing that Kevin Federline ever gave her were her boys. I believe that with all my heart. Again, real knows real. Authentic knows authentic. Some of you fake fuckers can't fucking see her because you're not fucking real yet. Don't worry, you'll get there. I've said this a lot, but if I wanted to be fucking famous, I would do differently than what I do now. And it's not going to get me fame by, insulting my audience if I am insulting you. So why did I bring up Kevin Federline if we're talking about Justin Timberlake? Because I don't think a man is the thing that saves Britney Spears, is the thing that she was looking for. What Britney Spears is looking for her entire life is something that I see in a lot of celebrity children who become famous, something that I even see inside myself, which is probably why I can see it so fucking clearly. She wanted a family. Honestly, I do think that part of the book is written by her. Is it Britney Spears in present day? I don't believe that. I think that the National Enquirer articles that came out in 2009 saying that her diary entries were stolen, the ones that she had been writing and video footage that she was compiling in anticipation of her documentary one day, is true. Because around 2004, Britney Spears was at the height of her career. So famous, biggest pop star in the world. Of course, you're gonna have a fucking documentary. You better start writing this shit now. You're in your fucking glory days, bitch. You don't want to just be recounting when you're all salty and shit. I think they weren't necessarily stolen. Maybe her family stole them, or maybe they were stolen and they later found them. Because some of the details, they sound like her. Because to me, there are stories in them, unlike the rest of the book. People think that stories are just things we say, but we always have details about our lives. It's the details that matter. The details tell you who someone is. What someone chooses to include and not include in their story tells you so much about them than the actual fucking story. So yeah, they gave us a book, but there are no stories, at least past 2009, that make me feel like that's her. So for the people who are enjoying the book, I get it. On some level, a piece of Britney Spears came back to you. But the mission's not done, guys. Our girl's still missing. Please don't give up. Please don't let these people think that what they have done and what they are doing right now is okay. It's not. The next episode will go more into detail about the loneliness that I think is severely missing in this book, that has plagued and been thematically present throughout her life. She would have done anything for her family, her mom, her brother, her baby sister, even her drunk ass fucking dad. So, the psychology lesson earlier, I brought that up because a lot of people who are fans, and I think they do wish well for Britney Spears, probably unconsciously, are afraid at the reality of the situation. It's grim, it's dark, I don't like it either. And they refuse to see what's in front of them. And it's so disheartening for me. I would have named this episode, Do You Want to Still Say Britney Spears? But that's kind of long-winded, so #feels. Because I have a lot of feels about this. So, what was interesting was end of 2016, someone did a tarot card reading for the predictions for celebrities and their horoscope for the future. Look at Britney Spears, shall we? It was a little crazy. A lot of it, at the time, they probably didn't understand what they were saying. They were like, yeah, no, she's trying to find herself because, she don't have her identity. With that in hindsight, where we're at now, it's kind of like, holy fucking shitballs. The fuck's happening here? This is not unworkable, but it's not the best. We have all reverse cards. We have the devil reverse. We have tens of cups reverse. The bullshit cards they always say. Beginning at the end with the Fool here, we need to be wary of false starts. At this point in Britney's career, there's no clean slate. Everything that she's done in her past, all her former selves, walk with her into the future. Unfortunately, because of media and because of being a star your whole life, there's no way to erase that. That circles back to the first card, the Devil Reverse, which talks about your personal demons and your vices. Those are going to follow you and how people think about you. They're going to follow you in people's perceptions of you. That's just not necessarily a bad thing going on, but I think there's been a lot of conflicting versions of Britney that people have seen and dealt with. I think it's hard to pinpoint a new construction of her and her identity. Isn't that fucking wild, you guys? I don't know, maybe it's very broad and it applies to almost everything, but to me that was like, tarot card lady, you don't even know about the fucking doubles yet, but you gonna. Let's keep going. The middle card, Ten of Cups, is usually the wish card. It's like the happy ending card. It's inverted. I'm not going to say that it means that there's no happy ending here, because that's not true. It just means that we can't go back and recreate Britney. Britney is always going to be an amalgamation of who she has been. If she's trying to do this with a whole new album, is to create a whole new face. That's not going to happen. But that's not unworkable, because we have maybe two majors here. That tells me that there's a life current that I think that she's aware of and that we need to accept about her. It's also a very beautiful thing, but all of her past is going to definitely be carried with her into the future. Is that balls to the walls wild, or is it just me? I'm just like wilding out here being like, oh, tarot card lady, you don't even fucking know yet. You don't fucking know. Like, I want to find this tarot card lady and be like, yeah, you was on the money, but for probably not the reasons you thought. I believe there's a little bit of truth in every sort of rumor that starts. Stereotypes, for instance, have a little bit of truth in all of them, which is why they persist over time. I'm not saying that stereotypes are nice, but I am saying, if you really think about it, there's a little bit of truth in it, isn't it? Blind items are like shopping at Ross. You'll find some gold there because there are sprinkles of truth, but you're going to have to sort through all the shit. So, class, we're going to take a little bit of a detour. A little bit less philosophical musings and a little bit more just come learn with me. It's pretty funny. People always act as if like I'm constructing some sort of narrative about Britney Spears like I have an end goal in sight. That's not the way this works. That's not the way good research should be, at least. You find the clues as they are. You make your logical deductions and inferences backwards. You're solving a mystery. You're not constructing anything. Things don't have to fit. You just have to see where the pieces fall. And that's what I do. Or that's what I think I feel like I'm doing. This is where understanding defamation law is very interesting and very useful with blind items. So, for defamation law, someone is liable if they purposely publish a lie or if they did it with reckless abandonment, meaning they didn't care to check or verify, and they just posted it and they ruined your reputation. So, for a blind item to remain up usually means there's not a good argument to sue. Now, because the world is not black and white, we can't really just assume that anything that's removed was not true and that they were liable to defamation and they got a cease and desist and they stopped. Sometimes someone can be so on the money that they're threatened with other things, bodily harm, death, you name it. So what does it mean for us? It means that we really have to critically think, consider all blind items, and weed through all the shit at Ross to find like that brand name item that we know is there. I've been compiling a lot of blind items the last few weeks because one of my favorite sources to check information and learn about the world used to be Answers.Yahoo, and then Quora that I have to log in or make an account, and Reddit, because I think that personal stories, anecdotes, those are where you really get the real. Google can tell me things, but Google points me to things. Documentaries can teach me about the world, but documentaries are biased. Anonymous people online are less likely to be biased. Sometimes, yeah, there are planted items, but you can usually see them. It's like when someone posts a post on Reddit, but it's a company and you know they're like trying to hype themselves out, you can see it. But somebody who's like on some obscure fucking forum talking about their experience is less likely to have an agenda. Anonymity gives people what I think feels like license to tell their truth, and it also takes away a lot of spin, a lot of PR. So, what have I heard? I've heard a lot of things. I was looking in 2016, but then I started going backwards. Started looking at 2008, 2004, because those also seem like years of importance somehow. So, the first blind item is one that was reviewed in 2012. Blind item reviewed. You know that the required physical from yesterday? Reason for the physical? Abortion. Father? Unknown. It's interesting now in light of the book, isn't it? For most blind items, you'll get a reporting about who it is in the review about a couple years after the initial events. It gives it some time for the heat to die down, I suppose. So, what's interesting about the next one is it's almost 15 years. Britney Spears' lost album, Original Doll. Isn't it weird that it's not in the book at all? You know, this was her first foray into creative control. This is right after Into the Zone. This is before she has kids. It's probably the peak of her creativity in her career. It probably resurges back in 2016 when she's doing the Glory album. So, let me read the blind item for you right now. There's a reason that the song named after a painting was never widely released from the camp of the permanent A-list singer. It hits way too close to home. Posted at 10:30 a.m., July 15th, 2020. I think this is also around the time that the blind item about her running away. Something that was so important to you that was kind of like your baby. Your first baby, to be honest. Why isn't it in the book? More importantly, why is the blind item being reviewed now in 2020? Almost like 15 years later. That's weird. And what do they mean? What do they mean by clones? Do they mean about the figurative ones that we see all over her page, her account, her brand, her name? The people that are copying her? Or are we going to get there? And are we talking about literal clones? I actually spent almost like a couple hours looking at blind items. They were really interesting, so I think it deserves and it warrants maybe another episode, just specifically me going through patterns and the specific blind items that I found. Other one that we're going to talk about in the next episode comes out, again, 15, 20 years later. It's about a rumor about Britney Spears being HIV positive. And it's not a one-off. There were many blind items that specifically said Britney Spears was HIV positive. This one comes out in 2020 and just dismisses it. It's weird. Why now? I want to talk about all the strange patterns that I'm seeing in the blind items, and it will come out because I have already recorded it. Stay tuned. And let's talk about her brother's Instagram account, supposedly. Until then, this has been This Ninja Nerd's Thoughts, THOTS, because I'm obscene that way. And if you don't think so, some other bitch already said it about me on the internet. Jesus. I can't understand jokes. So close your mouth when you eat. Okay. If we're just going to give each other orders, stop typing. So, which one do you guys think may be true or not? And are you interested in a part 2? So, I don't want anyone to feel like they're being gypped out of this. So if you're a paid subscriber, on episodes where I'm not talking shit about people and I'm not having a bunch of my feelings, which is what I've been including in the past few episodes, I'm going to give you the next episode. I'm just going to include it, like especially like a video like this, where there's so much information that I wanted to split into 2 parts. You're pretty much going to get most of next week's episode. And for anyone who's not a paid subscriber, you'll get it too, just later. And I think that makes it fair for everyone. I really be playing though, acting like I want to be on a schedule, be like, next week, you guys, like everyone fucking knows my schedule is whenever the fuck it comes on. So, sorry about that. I have to have your shit together in order for your stuff to be in order. Unfortunately, I'm not there yet. Maybe one day. But for now, I'll try to keep these as consistent as I can. But let's be real, it's kind of hard with the videos, so thank you for sticking around. It's interesting. Rumors start from somewhere. Our job right now is to decipher what's the truth, to look at what we have in front of us. Obviously, it's probably exaggerated, but there's a little bit of truth in everything, isn't there? If someone is telling me, no, don't believe this, don't do this, why? Why shouldn't I do that? What's in it for you? What's in it for me? What's your agenda? So, when I first started in this, there's an Instagram account called Brian something Spears. It's supposedly her brother, but a lot of people are like, no, that's not Brian Spears. Like, how dare you? Don't believe it's Brian Spears. Why? Why are you so adamant that I don't believe it's Brian Spears? What do you have to gain if I don't believe it's Brian Spears? Because let me tell you, that fucking account, its own list of blind items, just drops these cryptic fucking stories. And you know what? It looks like a person who's trying to leak information out because they feel guilty. Kind of sounds like Brian Spears. I don't know, just my 2 cents. Why are so many people adamant that I don't believe this account? It's like selling these blind items. So as I've been looking at the blind items tonight, I've just realized that they're written like they're riddles. It's probably to escape being liable for defamation. So technically, whatever is said is true. It's not a lie. I think it might be interesting to read some of these blind items with a different type of interpretation, and that's probably going to get us closer to the truth. So, looking back in 2008, it's kind of crazy to me that there was a very controversial and big blind item that Britney Spears was HIV positive. I found it on Crazy Days and Crazy Nights. I found it was on Lipstick Alley, but they removed it. It seems like they did a really good job trying to scrub it off the internet, but it wasn't just one blind item. It was like 6. It was verified for a few months even after. So, what does it mean? So why would I bring up a blind item from 2008? Because it came back in 2020. Check this one out. Speaking of the singer in number 3, there were, of course, all the rumors about her being HIV positive back in the day. But the blind people refer to thinking it is her is not. It's a bit weird, right? It's probably because it's written grammatically incorrect on purpose. So, let's reread it. Speaking of the singer in number 3, there were, of course, all the rumors about her being HIV positive back in the day. But the blind, they're missing the word that people refer to, comma, thinking it is her, comma, is not. That's one way. So what if the double was HIV positive? Could that be it? It would make a lot of sense why a lot of the blind items said it was Britney Spears, and now they're saying, no, it wasn't though. But suspect is also the fact that this is in 2022. But why is it coming back out now after all these years? I did a deep dive into all the blinds, by the way. There's a lot about doubles. There's a lot of, it seems almost like double entendres about 2 different people. So yeah, you can't really take blind items to be what they are at face value, but what if you notice a pattern? What if there's a pattern associated with the way that blind items come out? You can take that. I think you can take patterns. Recognition of patterns is always a strong trait to have. And what do I notice? There are a lot of weird fucking blind items in 2016. A lot of weird ones. Seems that her team was trying to throw out the narrative that she's crazy. But the blind items that are crazy about her team, I don't think those are fake at all. They seem to have the right amount of information. The blind items about the legal proceedings, I believe, are also true. Because the law's boring. Who gives a fuck? So who wanted to leak it and why? And I screenshot the shit out of it because honestly, the way her team scrubs the internet, fuck you guys. Don't worry. And I made it PDF and I made it searchable. I'll put it on the Ghetto Patreon later. She was the biggest fucking pop star in the world. And now in front of all of our eyes, she's probably being trafficked. Something is fucked up and it's happening. And everyone is watching. Everyone just lets it happen. Just turns a blind eye because you know what? It's a lot easier to believe nothing's happening. It's a lot easier to not see the world for how fucking disgusting it is. But she's living her best life, isn't she? She's free. Of course she is. Some of you have never been gaslit before and it shows. You know that feeling you get when people tell you one thing but you feel kind of squirrely inside? Well, friends, that's what it feels like to be gaslit. And this is a public gaslighting. If you're already a listener to this podcast, this isn't anything new to you. But if you're a new listener who's already angry with me, well, that's what cognitive dissonance is called. Would it surprise you if I told you that you're reacting violently to this because you're like every other trauma survivor? Someone has told you something for X amount of years, and of course you believed it because you're a good person. But now you realize everything was a lie, and that's painful. I get it. So you know what's easier to do? No. You're stupid. You're full of shit. You're so fucking crazy. You're a conspiracy theorist. You don't fucking know shit. Okay. Well, I know that you are reacting in a way that a lot of people have. And how you are reacting is not crazy. It's actually a normal response. Because as human beings, we kind of think, no, I think everyone else has my back. No one's like super evil and super selfish. But the cold reality is they are. Look what they've been doing. Look how they've been masquerading. No, that makes no sense. It would be easier to put down this group of people who are ruining everything than to believe and really understand the world we live in. It's ugly. I spoke about this before, but I don't think I've ever published it. Actually, I think I filmed many segments of this thinking that I wanted to make a video. I firmly believe that what we allow to happen in daylight matters. But here's a question for you. If we allow this to happen in broad fucking daylight, where everyone can fucking see, what do you think happens at night? What do you think happens under the cover of darkness? Where there's a little bit more leeway, where there's a little bit more room for someone to be a little bit more fucking wicked. You send a fucking message when you accept things. I know. If you're in therapy, it's called boundaries. I know, it's crazy. You would think like, oh God, that woo-woo shit again. It matters. What we tell people, what we accept in daylight, tells them what we'll accept in darkness. Nobody likes what happens when it goes dark. But you can tell those sick fucking people out there in the world that you're okay with this happening in daylight. Because I'm not. Because if they could do this to her, what's to stop it from happening to you, your loved one, your family, your friends? She was the biggest fucking pop star in the world at one point. Loved worldwide, and we were all watching. And some of us aren't doing a goddamn thing. We're just easier to live in our lives of delusions. So don't do it for this random pop star. Do it for the fact that every day that you let something happen to someone that everyone can see makes it a little bit closer that it could happen to someone you love. But we're telling people Yeah, you could do this to the biggest pop star in the world and nobody would give a fuck. So yeah, you can call me a conspiracy theorist, you can call me a clout chaser. At least I give a shit. At least I'm not letting this happen in broad daylight and just turning around, pretending like it's not happening. I don't know. Just a little bit food for thought for you all. So, as somebody who's never done long format, long series videos, which I know is crazy in the age of YouTube, let me just remind you, I started YouTube in 2008. I made 5 to 6 minute videos. I know TikTok was supposed to be short form videos, but then they were pushing long videos. So I was like, fuck yeah, this is my time. This is the time for me. This is all I fucking know. Now, y'all are like, hey, can we have a long format video? I'm like, I don't fucking know how to do that shit. Oh my God. I made my first version as boring as fuck. I don't fucking know. I'm like, I don't know. I'm giving way too much details. Like, usually I'm pretty good at cutting the shit out, but I'm like, maybe I should tell them what my thoughts were that day. Do you see what's happening to me? I've lost it. It's that episode of The Simpsons, and one day you're going to happen to you too. You're with it, then you don't have it. I don't have it.
I used to be with it, but then they changed what it was. Now what I'm with isn't it, and what's it seems weird and scary to me. It'll happen to you.
I don't know, you guys. It's not going to be great. I thought it'd be easy. Like, I just take all my YouTube video, my TikToks, and just like put them all in one video. But I'm like, no. Now that I'm older and I have much more knowledge, I should have a new summary recap. And I'm like, this is bullshit. I don't fucking know what I'm doing. So I'm currently filming a video, and I want to apologize to everyone who watches or listens to the podcast. I'm behind. Yeah. Turns out doing a long series format thing was way harder than I fucking thought. Someone with an attention span like mine who barely can fucking like pay attention to 32-minute videos, I'm like, fuck. 10 minutes is a long time. So here's that behind the scenes I was talking about, Trying to follow up on the whole Kevin Wu shit, because, that guy's kind of a dick. Kevin Wu, if you're watching, I think you're a dick. Those of you who are just listening and not actually watching the video, I winked at the camera, which I realized would not translate unless you were watching. So, I hope to have some episodes for you guys soon. I owe you the second part of the rumors and blind items episode, and I owe you, I think, maybe another 1 to 2 episodes after that about something else I forgot. And if you're watching from the TikTok or YouTube or Instagram, I owe a lot of videos to part 2s. I hope this was enjoyable and interesting about the behind the scenes of making the long format video, because I was freaking out making the video. So I was like, I need to talk to somebody. There's nobody here to talk to. Let me talk to myself. Let me record it. Maybe then I can publicize it. Did you like the long format video? It was hard for me to figure out the tone of it. And then after, it was hard for me to try to figure out how to organize it in a way that's interesting, yet not repetitive and boring. If you have any thoughts about that, I'd love to hear them. The one part I actually really like about doing this whole long format series is, for a while, I've noticed that people get confused on where to start, and it's kind of hard to be like, well, just watch all the fucking TikToks. So what I've been wanting to do was, I was actually just going to re-summarize a lot of the things that we had figured out earlier. So this gives me a chance to kind of re-edit what I've previously said and re-emphasize what's important. And then what I'm hoping to do is to make each episode standalone on its own, but incorporate it in a bigger, wider picture of all the things that we've previously talked about, so that somebody wouldn't feel overwhelmed when they get into the TikToks and go, fuck, this rabbit hole is way too deep. I don't fucking want to touch this shit. Because the more it's easier and accessible for everyone, I think it's easier to spread awareness of what's happening. So let me know your thoughts. Oh, and while this is just more of a fun episode, I actually read every poll and every, when you guys write the things. So, recap. We're all kind of along the same lines. One of my favorites was, I was like, was this too heavy? And someone put, yeah. And I put, fair enough. I did put that as an answer. So, really give me your thoughts. I'm the type of person that I'll take your feedback and incorporate it along the way, hopefully. Or if I agree with it, honestly. I could just be a huge fucking bitch and be like, fuck no, I don't agree with your shit at all. No, usually I do listen. Unless I'm being a huge fucking bitch that day. So, kind of a random episode tonight, but I was watching some clairvoyant person on TikTok, And she said that Brittany and Justin were past lovers or they knew each other in a past lifetime. So I have this app called the Pattern app. Basically, if you're too lazy to want to read your natal charts, we'll do it for you. And then you can also look up celebrities to see if you're compatible with celebrities and people in your life. So if I looked up Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears and Timberlake, I was curious if she was full of shit or not. Lo and behold, their bond is powerful. Basically, these are all the different kind of feuds. So one of them is missing and that one's life-changing. Interesting that one's not there. Would you look at that, though? Karmic link, past lovers. Karmic link, past life connection. Expanding relationship. Supportive attraction. But trials, different paths, passion or distance, devotion or frustration. New possibilities. Career healing. Career healing, that's interesting. Distinct and special. Friends in a past life. Common ground. Harmony. That was kind of interesting to me. You know, where spirituality intersects with, I guess, this world and the craziness we find ourselves in. Because, you know, everyone always says, like, oh, Justin and Brittany, something felt special then. Or it felt like they knew each other. It's weird when this shit lines. I don't know, maybe it's just synchronicity or something. If you guys would like an expanded episode where I read and go through this, I would be delighted to do that. So please answer yes in the poll or no. But I'm still working on things and I have a couple more episodes to create for this podcast. I'm curious to see if you guys are interested in an episode like that. I love reading shit like this. Makes me kind of really sad for them. But you know what they say about twin flames? Twin flames are like one half of the same soul. So that's why it always feels like they're incomplete and they're looking for each other. Soulmates aren't that. Soulmates are more like you're kind of cut from the same cloth. It's like they really, honestly, many books have said so, should be called maybe soul companions. It's somebody who helps you through like a difficult time in your life. Whereas a twin flame is kind of like your foil in life. It's the person that makes you look at yourself in the mirror because they are literally, and they reflect back the negative qualities unless you're like super ready to heal. And generally they're quite tumultuous. And it isn't until both souls are like grown and matured and shit that they can actually get together. Otherwise, they'll just continue to meet each other in every single until they get their shit together, or they may never. So the fact that it says past life lovers, past life connection, a lot about like past lives, kind of feels like if you believe in this kind of stuff, they've had multiple lives, and I think they are twin flames. I don't know. I barely got into this stuff and reading about it. But it piqued my interest. It was, I think, Claire or something. I don't know. I don't trust her because her name is Claire. You know, she's like, I'm a clairvoyant and my name's Claire. And I'm like, I don't know about that, Claire. But if I don't make another episode soon, I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and thank you for joining this podcast as we go on this weird fucking journey. Honestly, I think we'll get to the truth. Will it be pretty? No. But if you're invested and you're interested, buckle up. We're going to keep on going. But in between, I will have lighter things like this because nobody gets through the whole world with their eyes wide open. Unfortunate fucking reference of mine. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope everyone has a good time with their family, biological or the ones that they made along the way. And if not, stay safe and get good holiday deals. That's what this Ninja Nerd YC out, unless, you know, I have some fucking energy and I can do the rest of the episodes. I keep fucking saying, I'm gonna do what I don't fucking do. Yeah. Actually, you know what? Let me read one. Let's read about career healing. Brittany is helping Justin identify what's holding him back from finding his true calling. She's bringing attention to any vulnerability concerning Justin's career or public life so he can overcome his fears. At times, it may feel painful or uncomfortable, but facing his wounds, Justin can ultimately heal them. Brittany may help Justin to think differently about his career and the way he's perceived and respected in the world. She activates Justin's vulnerabilities concerning his work and the way in which he navigates life. Although Brittany may not realize it, her effect on Justin is powerful. Brittany's helping Justin to confront any buried pain he may carry in relation to his finding his purpose and a career that he loves. Shit, maybe it was acting. Justin's likely drawn to Brittany because he senses she can help him. At times when they're together, it might feel like there's a spotlight on Justin's pain, but Brittany's exposing it by way of compassion. It needs to be reviewed in order to get Justin to pay attention to what he's feeling. Brittany does this through accepting whatever it is that Justin feels uncomfortable about. By pushing Justin to seriously focus on this area of his life, this can be a healing experience. It's like an initiation. Once he incorporates his wounds, he can move on. Justin's learning on how to have compassion for himself by acknowledging his suffering. This aspect of their connection may not always feel comfortable for Justin. Sometimes what's most helpful can also hurt. Brittany's kindness in this area may feel unfamiliar and be what stings the most. Justin might be tempted to see himself as a victim, but that's not the truth. However this manifests, Brittany's likely unaware of her effect on Justin, so Justin should not take it personally. Brittany's not trying to upset him, this is just a pattern that exists. Healing and strength don't result from ignoring what he feels, but from coming to terms with it. Brittany's helping Justin understand what may be holding him back from his true calling. Shit, was it acting? Because I feel like the rest of the world was like, get back to the motherfucking microphone, and he was like, whatever, I fucking hate this world. Let me know in the poll. Have a great holiday.